my dears, I keep meaning to make hair tutorials and then I simply don't, so today I'm going to change that by teaching you all how I set my hair. To do this set, you are going to need some dry hair. I usually take a shower, wait about 3 hours-ish for it to dry, and then I'll set it before bed. You're also going to need these foam rollers that I got from Amazon. I will link everything in the description for you, and a little bowl with an even mix of Lotta Body setting lotion and water. Also a hairbrush and a comb because those help. And for later, you're going to want a vintage scarf and some alligator clips. So I took a shower around 6. It's now around 9:30, so my hair is mostly completely dry, and we're going to start setting it. When I first started, this would take me about an hour. Now it takes 15 to 20 minutes, if even, and honestly, I kind of enjoy the routine. Step 1 here is brushing your hair and making sure you have a solid side part to work with. Actually, wait, take a moment to play with your hair, pretend you're just an average college student. There we go. Okay, so step 1, we're going to take this front section. I usually make it about this big, and I go from the part on one side to the middle of my other eye on the other side, and about an inch thick. And then you're going to dip a roller in your Lotta Body solution, squeeze out all the excess, and lightly dampen your hair with it on both sides. The balance of how wet and how dry to make it is something I still consistently mess up, so I'm not going to be too much help here. But just definitely don't soak it, because then it won't dry. You'll learn over time how wet or dry it needs to be. Since my hair takes forever to dry, I put that wet roller down on the floor and then I grab a fresh dry one to actually set the curl. This one is going to be rolled backwards towards the face, and you're going to want to start at the very end of the section and roll as tightly as you can. Also make sure to tuck the ends in and not like sideways, because I used to do that and I thought it was a life hack till I realized that made it look really, really bad when it dries. So you're going to want to tuck them in within the shape of the curl. Then roll it backwards towards your face, keeping it as tight as possible, and clip it into place. I usually clip them in a little bit looser so they don't make a little hair kink when it dries, especially with this front one, but you'll get used to that over time as well. And then ta-da, you have your first curler. The next 3 are going to follow that same shape of sorts, and it makes me feel kind of like a dinosaur. You'll see why when we're done with this section. And you're going to part the hair behind that front curler in line with the parts on either side, and then make a section just under an inch width. Kind of. I just eyeball it. You learn to feel good and bad chunk sizes as you get used to doing this. Also at this point, my hair kind of naturally falls in these chunks. It's really strange. But anyway, you have this section. You're going to dampen it just like you did the first one. Chuck that wet roller into the distance and then grab a dry one and roll the hair under toward your face. Kind of. I'm bad at directions. Do it how I did it in the video. You can see it. You have eyes. Then we're going to do that 2 more times down your head. While I'm doing that, I want to give a quick shout out to Jessica Kellgren Fozart's hair tutorials. This is an amalgamation-ish of 2 of them. I discovered when learning to set my hair that all the vintage creators I follow have hair that's dyed, meaning that their hair is a very different texture from mine, so they can set it much more easily than I, somebody with so-called virgin hair, can. So I had to get creative and try over and over and over again and change some stuff until it finally worked out pretty nicely for me, and I have to use way more product than they need to. But anyway, there's that section. Rawr, I'm a dino. And now we get to the easier part of the hair setting, which is the side bit. Each section will again be about the same width as the middle chunks. Sometimes I line it up perfectly, sometimes I don't. And these rollers will go towards the middle of your head. I usually use about 6 or 7 to get all the way around my head, but that really depends on how it ends up. Sometimes it's 5. You really never know. And I usually do 1 on each side, back and forth, so that I have an even amount on either side. Everything else is pretty much the same. So let's get started. Another thing I didn't really realize when learning to curl my hair was how important the thickness and haircut is for a good set. If you have your hair straight across and as thick as my hair naturally is, you will inevitably look like a triangle with this set. Now that I get my hair thinned, and I also get what's called a princess cut, it's technically a horseshoe cut, I call it the princess cut, where the front is short and the back is longer, which means that the curls sit less heavily so they're better staying in place. You get the vintage swoosh. It's a very important shape for the vintage vibe. And also when it's straight, you look kind of like an early 2000s Disney Channel star, so you get the best of both worlds. That pun was only halfway intended. Also, because my hair is pinned straight and loves to stay that way, I've gotten into the habit of washing my hair once or twice a week because dirty hair holds curls better. Not to mention that having to set it less is a great time saver. When I first started setting my hair, I did my usual shower every 2 days thing, and my curls really didn't stay, and it really annoyed me until I started spacing out my showers more. And of course, over time, your hair also gets used to however you like to wear it, so it naturally will do a very little bit of curl by itself now, and more easily holds a set than it did at the beginning. Alrighty, now that we have made our way to the back, we're going to take a look at the amount of hair we have left and decide how many curlers to add for that space. And then, ta-da, you are done with the whole setting bit. I used to put on a hairnet and tie a small bandana to keep it safe overnight. Now I usually just tie it up in a turban because that's easier and also, in my opinion, a little bit more attractive. To do said tying of turban, you're going to take a big scarf. I got this one from Stradivarius in Italy. fold it into a triangle and then plop it onto your head like this. Bring the ends up to the front, do half a square knot. Make sure that the center of the triangle is under that knot sticking out in the front, and then you're going to stand back up and do the other half of the square knot and hide each end within the turban. The front bit's going to slide into the side over here, and then fluff up some middle pieces to hide your little dinosaur spine so you can leave your room without feeling too much anxiety, and you're good to go. Have sweet dreams, everybody! All right, good morning. For this step, you're going to need 1 to 2 alligator clips, a hairbrush, a comb, bobby pins, and Elnet unscented hairspray. Or any other hairspray, but this is one that I really like. So step 1 is to take out all of the rollers with the exception of the front one. And when you do this, don't pull on your head because that doesn't feel good and also it's not great for your scalp. And you're going to want to pull them out in curls as ringlets. Once they're all taken out and you've done a nice amount of bouncing them around and feeling like your inner Shirley Temple, take your hairbrush and get to brushing. The more gently you do this and the less you pull on your scalp, the better, both sensory-wise and also for the look itself. You just want to make sure that you get out all the knots, however, and I don't really know how to describe how the brushing situation goes or what I look for or how I decide what I'm going to do with it. So I'm just going to keep silent while you witness this very scientific process. All right, great. So once I feel like the curls are sufficiently fine, I make the decision on what I'm going to do with my hair. I cannot deal with having things in my face, so I typically do pull it back, but in one of 2 ways. One is having both sides pulled back to the middle of my head and either putting a clip or a bow or a flower there. I'll either just pull the hair back with smooth sides or I will twist them both. I'll include pics of each look somewhere on the screen. Today we are going to do the slightly more complicated way of pulling it back, but it's not that complicated. So on my left side, I'm going to take the hair and twist it and pin it back with 2 pins crisscrossing each other. And then on the right, I just pin it back and out of the way with 2 pins. Once all of that is complete and I make the curls perfectly how I want them and whatnot, I take out the front bit. Using a comb, I separate the front chunk into horizontal sections and tease each one. Normally I get about 3 to 4 sections out of it, but sometimes I plan poorly, so it depends. And then I will tease the whole thing until it's a massive blob, use a comb to lightly get rid of the frizz, and spray the heck out of it with hairspray. Then I will fold it over and use an alligator clip to put it down where I want it to sit and hairspray that into place. While that dries, I take the time to hairspray the rest of my head. Make sure to pick up pieces and get the hairspray inside the hair and on the ends as well as on top and the bit by your neck. Things will get a little sticky. Also make sure not to hairspray the ends of the front bit because those aren't done yet. While all of that dries, that's usually when I make my bed, pack my backpack, or just have a little dance party. Really depends on my mood. And once I feel like I'm significantly less sticky, I'm going to separate the ends of the front bit into 2 pieces and use my fingers to make a little pin curl. This usually takes me the most time because I am far too much of a perfectionist for my own good, but eventually I'll be content with where it ends up. May add another alligator clip to weigh it down so it looks exactly like I want it to. Because pro tip, as long as you have enough alligator clips to put the hair where you want it and then you cover it in hairspray, once it's fully crunchy dry and you take the clips out gently, you will have the perfect hair that you wanted. And yeah, there you go. This set will probably last me about 3 to 4 days. Each morning I just brush it out and then pin as I so desire, re-hairspray. By the end of the week, I'll just transition to braids and updos and things, and then I'll shower and the cycle starts all over again. Hopefully you learned something from that. Hopefully I explained things in a logical manner, and I will link all the products I used in the description, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.